Ever since the release of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, a lot of fans around the world have been very intrigued about the future of the Star Wars franchise by Disney and Lucasfilm. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing is for certain is that there really seems to be quite a divide when it comes to Episode 9, not nearly as much as The Last Jedi's, but there's still a handful of fans out there who either liked or disliked this movie, and especially those who did not like The Last Jedi. A lot of fans also, had problems with this movie, specific decisions that were made by J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy. Now, when we look at Kathleen Kennedy, obviously she's really not best, suited for Star Wars as a whole, as president of Lucasfilm. We do know that as of right now, Disney is cleaning up house over at Lucasfilm for their new Star Wars universe, ranging from new movies to new TV shows to books, comics, novels, and video games to come in the near future. That's really going to bring Star Wars in a different and better direction. Now, the thing about J.J. Abrams is that we know that he had a co-writer, Chris Terrio, who worked very closely with him, and not just that, we do know that Episode 9, which was originally called Duel of the Fates by Colin Trevorrow, was also going to be far different than J.J. Abrams' take on the 9th and final film of the Skywalker saga. Now, the thing about the premiere and interviews that took place during and after the premiere of The Rise of Skywalker and what J.J. Abrams had to say, it really does shed a lot of light on Kathleen Kennedy's take on these Star Wars movies over at Lucasfilm. Now, with both Disney and Lucasfilm now focused on the future of the franchise, many fans have been very worried about the future of the franchise by Disney and Lucasfilm and exactly where it's going. Now, during and after the premiere of The Rise of Skywalker, many media outlets engaged in interviews with those involved with the film like J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy, and even Bob Iger and more. When J.J. Abrams was asked about the production of the film and Kathleen Kennedy and her take on the film, is that J.J. Abrams revealed that the production was the most difficult out of all three movies, and that J.J. stated it was Kathleen Kennedy's idea to do the rewrites on the set, and of course, while they were actually filming in Jordan and in other locations over in the UK, in order to speed up the pace in comparison to The Force Awakens. Now, JJ explains that it was also Kathleen Kennedy's idea for the title of the film to be called The Rise of Skywalker to be used, and that J.J. Abrams noted that he would have loved to actually have used more of Colin Trevorrow's original ideas from his script, but Kathleen Kennedy wanted J.J. to focus on his own vision. Since Kathleen Kennedy had creative differences with Colin's take on the 9th and final film of the Skywalker saga. Now, J.J. Abrams revealed that Kathleen Kennedy had a difficult time on set many times, and that it was a very rushed production for her to handle, but they got through it because of the intense work and the effort that they actually put into this movie, where J.J. states that he was also afraid at first to come on board for the final film of the sequel trilogy, and that Kathleen Kennedy was the one who came with the idea of Rey becoming a Skywalker. J.J. reveals that he was actually not against this idea from Kathleen Kennedy's idea of making Rey a Skywalker, and that Kennedy felt that this was the only option to go with in order to wrap up the entire trilogy. So let's go over a couple of parts about this with Kathleen Kennedy. Now, a lot of fans out there had issues with Rey being called a Skywalker. That's pretty much a given at this point. A lot of fans had problems with why, Rey was being called Rey Skywalker and how she just adopts the name. Meanwhile, on the other hand, there are a group of, people, a group of fans out there that actually like the idea and welcome the idea of Rey being called Rey Skywalker. But this was all Kathleen Kennedy's doing, and J.J. Abrams actually agreed with this. The other thing is that Kathleen Kennedy was actually said to actually have a very hard time on set during the rushed production, and this was actually all her idea, by having J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio to do the rewrites on the set during the reshoots and while they were actually filming, etc. And that could very well mean as to why, we feel that the movie's very convoluted or rushed at times in the very beginning of the movie, and I would even say so during the second act of Episode 9. It's very transparent where, they had to really kind of just rush things through and kind of change their ways for Episode 9, and why a lot of scenes were deleted. It was of course, because of Kathleen Kennedy. A lot of changes were made because of Kennedy. Now, the fact that it was Kathleen Kennedy who chose the title, The Rise of Skywalker, I think it's pretty much apparent at this point that it was Kathleen Kennedy who used that title as a way to draw in the fans because they thought it had something to do with either Luke or Anakin Skywalker. There's no doubt about that, right? Meanwhile, all it really had to do with was, of course, Rey calling herself Rey Skywalker. So Kathleen Kennedy, thankfully, she no longer has creative control over many of the projects that are currently in the works over at Lucasfilm, so that's a good thing. The fact that, you know, this really is a light at the end of the tunnel at this point, beyond Episode 9. It's going to be very interesting to see exactly what the future of the Star Wars franchise will look like. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.